Oh, hey Kev, you gotta unmute yourself. There you
Gotcha,
go.
gotcha, gotcha. My bad. I was enjoying the music and the pictures. But good evening and hello and welcome to Voices of Healthy Neighborhoods. My name is Kev Choice. I want to thank you for joining us this evening. I'll be your host. I'm a rapper, musician, educator, artist from here in Oakland, California, and just really excited to be here today. We're here today because the East Bay Asian Local Development Corporation values the role of artistic expression playing in community, plays in creating community, and building healthy neighborhoods. Our hope for the East Bay is healthy, vibrant, and safe neighborhoods where everyone has a place to call home. In a thriving region, children can access quality education, residents can obtain good jobs, and families can enjoy public spaces, and neighbors can enjoy culture and creativity. These things are very dear and near to my heart as one of the selected and appointed Oakland Cultural Affairs Commissioners. I actually serve as a vice chair of this body in support of our Oakland Cultural Affairs Department. And navigating things like supporting individual artists, supporting artist organizations, putting on local festivals and events in our cities and neighborhoods. Also, something that is near to this event is having the first official Oakland Adult Laureate program. And shout out Ayadele and Zinga, who was selected as our first official Oakland Laureate. Now, getting to what we're here to do this evening is to get to know a little bit more about some of our Oakland Youth Poet Laureates, present and from the past. And I would like to invite up our first poet laureate, Michelle Arango, who was 2020 Vice Poet Laureate. And Michelle Arango is an 18-year-old rising freshman at Cal Berkeley, born and raised in the Bay Area. She's written poetry since she could first pick up a pencil and has never stopped since. Now, to Michelle, being a poet means pouring your soul into your work. Now a published poet, multiverse, an anthology of young Latinx writers, Michelle hopes to continue to be a mentor to young poets. I want us all to give a warm welcome. Michelle, how you doing this evening?
Hi, I'm doing great. And you?
I'm doing well, doing well. It's a pleasure to be here. Really,
Awesome.
really excited to be in the midst. Now, I understand you've been writing since a very young age. Like I say, as soon as you learned how to write, you started writing. Now, what do you see as the connection between your work as a poet and the environment and community that which you grew up in?
So, honestly, I'm just going to say it. My work is heavily inspired by my identity um, as an activist, whether that be social and environmental. And just straight up, a lot of like my work deals with my identity issues and what I believe is my role in my community and how I cope with that. Because obviously, being low income and a person of color, it's just like really difficult to like really deal with like all of like the trauma that is
Hmm.
thrusted at us based on our demographics, whether that be racially, ethnically, etc. And so my work really just tries to like bridge the connection between who I am and who I wish to be, like whether that be like a goal in life, like maybe I just want to grow as a person, but maybe I want to help my community grow and create this positive impact. And it's really meaningful to me to be a writer. And because like honestly, words are difficult and it's just like I really just really truly embrace the connection between my work and my community, because I feel like that is how I earn a place at the table. And it's really hard to like, really look back and think, do I belong here? Should I belong here?
Hmm.
Because I don't know, it's just weird, but like I truly believe that my work with poetry is deep rooted into my community and who I am in my community.
Wow, that's beautiful. I appreciate that. And can you tell us a little bit about maybe some of the things that you've used your poetry as an activist? Are there certain issues or certain causes or organizations or events? Could you speak to us about that a little bit?
Definitely. I got started like my environmental work. I got started with air quality in Oakland, specifically the No Coal in Oakland campaign.
Mm,
And through that, I just started writing about how, my community's air is affected by, the greed and the capitalism that a lot of people have. And God, I blanked out, but like my work is like really most recently I've just like been focusing on gentrification and colonization,
mhm,
specifically, the displacement of houseless folks in Oakland and
mhm,
how gentrification builds into that. Like the housing crisis is really intense here in the Bay Area, specifically Oakland, as we see, the prices rise and like a lot of like high income white people coming in and kicking us out of the streets. And it's just like really intense, but that's like what my poem is about. It's just overall the history of our people being here and then being displaced. And my work with my community has like really influenced, the way I write.
mhm.
I I write about air quality, I write about, you know, water quality, climate change, and how it's eventually going to affect a lot of minorities in the country and like worldwide. And so that's kind of like where I kind of like am rooted in my work.
That's dope. That's dope. I appreciate that. You were saying a little bit about what your poem is about. Can you tell us a little bit about your poem and before you speak it to us?
Definitely. So disclaimer, I originally had a poem I was going to perform today, but then I just got like thinking, I was like, maybe I should write a new one. So this was written like probably an hour and a half ago,
Oh, an
but I
exclusive. Exclusive. Okay.
yeah, and so like I feel like it's definitely probably one of my most raw poems because it's just like really speaking from the heart and like my emotions, like my thoughts surrounding this. And currently we're like with my job, we just finished up like our unit on housing justice
Mm,
and like, really getting into like how gentrification affects us and our people. And so, unfortunately, this poem doesn't have a name yet, but I think it's pretty deep and it's pretty raw and it's just who I am.
okay. Well, thank you for giving us an exclusive. Hearing it here first. That's special. So I'm gonna turn it over to you, Michelle, and thank you for being here.
Thank you. I have lived in this house, on this block, in this city, built on the land of the Ohlone, ground experiencing a second wave of colonization as we await the burning of our planet and the coming second ice age. I have lived in this home for my whole life, in this house for my whole life, and was born into a melting pot of diverse tongues, people, and cultures, but slowly, oh, so painfully slow. The diverse ingredients making up my city are being pulled out and replaced with bland tasting meats harboring no spice and definitely no new tongue. I have lived in this slowly freezing pot for my whole life while I have seen neighbors go, replaced by the ancestors of those who colonized my people, replaced by the generational bloodline of conquistadors who landed on this continent and declared it theirs, took ownership of the land and my ancestors and introduced a new race of man into existence. My people, born from the rape of the land and my ancestors. Generational trauma I am still victim to today. I have struggled through the struggle of my mother and her mother and her mother, and so on. I have lived with a purpose to make sure my daughter does not succumb to the second wave of colonization. I have lived in this house, on this block, in this city deemed diverse. But the truth is that with each day that goes by, I am seeing less friendly faces, less carne asadas, less fiestas, and I am seeing it replaced with white picket fences keeping us out of our homes, white picket fences symbolizing an American dream that can never come true. I have lived in this house for years and called it home my entire life. Yet my daughter and her children won't, because soon I will have no house on this block in this city built on the lands of the Ohlone. I will have no home and no role in this pot of a city, freezing out my people whose blood, sweat, and tears built it from the ground up. I will have no house in a city where I will be the last of my bloodline and no home on the lands being colonized once more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, that was deep. I was right there with you that whole journey. Thank you. Before you go, can you just maybe tell us where people can find your poetry, or if you have any events coming up? I know you're published, so if there's a website, anything to where we can follow you and support you.
Yeah, totally. I was recently published a few weeks ago by Nomadic Press, and so my book, well, it's like a collection of young Latin writers, and it's called The Multiverse, and it's just like it's really dope. There's a lot of other great poets there featured, and currently I don't think I have any like coming events, but I'm open to, being where people want me to be. I love reciting poetry and I love, sharing my story and hopefully inspiring others. So thank you for having me.
No, thank you for being here, and yeah, keep doing what you're doing, and we're proud to have you as one of our representatives as a youth poet laureate, and just look forward to following you and supporting you in the future. And you ain't too far away at Cal, so we're gonna come.
Mhm.
Make sure we check up on you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was dope. That was really dope. Moving forward, just want to say thanks again, and also just appreciate Michelle for bringing up that we are on a lonely land, and usually in events we do a land acknowledgement. Just want to take time to acknowledge the land that we are all on here in Oakland, California, in the Bay Area, the land of the Ohlone people and the ancestors, and giving thanks for this opportunity. As we go into our next featured poet, who was our 2019 Vice Youth Poet Laureate, Eleanor Wickstrom. And Eleanor Wickstrom is a 19-year-old Oakland native who has been writing prose and poetry for as long as she can remember. As the 2019 Youth Poet Laureate of Oakland and a National Young Arts winner in writing, Eleanor has performed spoken word for both local and international audiences, including the United Nations General Assembly for their official 75th anniversary celebration. Now, most recently, she used her platform to lead a series of community workshops on art as activism, which culminated in the publication of a student poetry anthology. Currently, she is a rising sophomore at Harvard University, where she is the executive on the editorial board of the Harvard Crimson underground newspaper. And that's some high accolades, and we want to welcome Eleanor Wickstrom. How you doing today, Eleanor?
I'm doing great. It's wonderful to be here.
Good. Now, are you here in Oakland, or are you on the East Coast, or?
Currently, I'm actually in Las Vegas. I'm visiting my grandmother, but for this summer, I've mostly been in Oakland, yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. That's really dope. And congratulations on, Harvard University and that. How are you enjoying that experience so far?
The weather's very different, that's for sure. But I'm excited. I'm very grateful to be able to bring my experience and my community along with me. I know that I am the sum of everyone who has brought me to this point, and a lot of that I credit to Oakland and to growing through OUSD and to having lived in Oakland my whole life. And so I'm excited to continue sharing that through the next 3 years that I have at Harvard.
Awesome, awesome. Now, reading in your bio was talking about how you use your platform to lead a series of community workshops on art as activism. Now, can you tell us what role does artistic expression play in community activism for you?
Yeah, I love that question because I think it motivated a lot of what I did during my time as the Vice Laureate and what I tried to do with my platform. So I graduated from Skyline High School, best high school in
Hey,
Oakland. I'm sure Michelle and Myra probably have different responses than I do to that question.
well, I'm a
But
Skyline graduate as well.
oh,
So,
okay, perfect. I guess we can agree. It's the greatest high school in Oakland. But yeah, right before quarantine hit, I had the privilege of being able to lead a series of workshops in the junior and senior English classes at Skyline. And so I was able to get every student that was in those classes to go through this same series of workshops. And it was about using cultural expression as a counter to forces of colonization. So I really appreciated Michelle too for kind of her lead-in poem as well. I think it really leads into this conversation. But part of what we were talking about during this workshop is that the history that we are taught in schools, the history and the narrative that's been institutionalized is not representative of our experiences as diverse members of the Oakland community. Marginalized communities are not regarded as participants in history. They're treated as victims of it. But this limited and this one-dimensional representation is not an accident. It's very much intentional. It's marginalization at work. Systemic erasure of identity is a tool of oppression. If you don't have a narrative, you can't claim agency. But I'm a strong believer in that if cultural expression of marginalized communities continues, the world's most harmful forces of colonization cannot win. Because by sharing our identities, we take control of the narrative, we foster diverse conversations, and we begin to affect change. So instead of allowing false representations to define who we are, we can share our own stories. The only way to combat untruth is with truth. And in my belief, the only true thing is what we have to say about ourselves.
wow, that's powerful. That's powerful. And me as a musician and an artist as well who is involved in community activism, what are some of the things that you as a poet like feel like you can engage in community? Are there certain causes or organizations, or do you have any support around political ideology, or what ways do you feel like you can use your power as a poet to affect some change in our community?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the greatest things, I've been privileged to be able to share my poetry in a lot of spaces. I mean, being able to go to the United Nations and perform there was an opportunity that I never would have expected coming into this program. I also had a poem that I shared at the YWCA, so the YMCA counterpart, at their annual Inspire Awards. It was about my reaction to the testimony, the Senate testimony of Dr. Christine Blasey Ford, and she ended up actually being present at that event. And so I got to meet her, and that was a really powerful moment that it really showed full circle how her testimony had inspired my own, which then brought in a whole event of everyone sharing their own narratives and the power of their stories. But I think having had those experiences, the most powerful thing, in my opinion, is art and spoken word as a teaching and as a community sharing exercise. I think the most rewarding things that I've been able to be involved with have been, would probably be that workshop series and just seeing over 400 poems come out of that, and then being able to put that into an anthology and allow the gifts to keep on giving. I'm so blessed to have been a part of this platform, and I can only hope that my involvement with it also encourages other students and other youth to further share their own stories through artistic expression.
Wow, no, that's dope. That's dope. That's powerful. This is just an off the cuff question. Me being a writer as well, like, can you just talk a little bit about your process? Like, how do you write poems? Do you have a certain environment that you need to be in? You need music, candles. Like, how do you get inspired to write?
Yeah, I would definitely say I've gotten good at learning that I need, like, no one else can be in the room. I need my brain wavelength to be the only thing functioning. So if I even sense another presence next to me, I have to move to another room, which is, I don't think that's a pretty uncommon thing among writers. I think we all kind of know that we need our own mental headspace to be in.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. But I would say when it comes to editing and writing poems, some poems I've written and I'll just write in a really intense 2 to 3 hour chunk, and then I'll let it sit for a couple of weeks and I'll come back to it and then revise it slowly. I think that's generally how I would say I would work on them.
Oh, that's really dope. Now, I know you're going to share something with us tonight. Can you tell us a little bit about, that poem and, the topic and what inspired you to write it?
Yes, so this is a poem that I wrote maybe about a year ago, a couple of years ago. It's called My Grandmother's Laugh. And so when I first was invited to this event, I was really touched by its emphasis on community and placekeeping and honoring the roots that keep us here. I am mixed race, I'm half Filipino, and so my American story, or my story within this city, is very much rooted in movement. It's rooted in migration and how you maintain those traditions and those ties across an ocean, across different languages, across a diaspora. And so this is a poem that I wrote in celebration of that, in celebration of what has brought me here, and also acknowledging the sacrifices that were made to bring me to the moment that I am in now.
Wow, awesome. Well, looking forward to hearing it. Everyone, let's give it up for Eleanor Wickstrom. Thank you.
When my grandmother laughs, the sound comes from the top down like it tripped and fell from her lips. Her laugh is all high-pitched corners, scraping with a bursting cry like she caught herself by surprise, an exclamation point before it starts. She laughs the most at Christmas time, when 20 of us are standing around a table in the garage, Dixie cups on the shelves, purses on the floor, someone rapidly rolling dice onto a plate, someone hastily peeling a saran wrap ball, someone frantically lunging for lottery tickets and coupons and dollars hidden in the layers, and necks craning and tables banging, and cousins shouting, "Sus Mariosep, Angpera, my God, grab the money," and my grandmother's laugh taking flight and rising above it all. My grandmother's laugh is sharp and prying and pulls your ears when you listen close. It's tangy like the chili sauce I always overpour on my lumpia, and warms my insides just the same and makes me smile wide, because her laugh is as Filipino as it gets. Trades the F for a P so that fried chicken becomes pride. Spoons more food onto my plate despite protests, and damn Steve Harvey for announcing the wrong Miss Universe. Yeah, my grandmother's laugh has an accent so strong I can taste it, and bears a strength that words can't explain, because her laugh is the only thing left. 43 years ago, my grandmother shed the folds of a mother country to give her children the American dream, to open the world of high school proms and university degrees and green grass lawns and mestiza poster children. My grandmother watched her daughters grow roots across the states and sink their bodies into new earth, watched them bloom in the warmth of opportunity, watched their mouths become rounded by the erosion of soft English words and lose the angles of a mother tongue like tin, like the music of summer monsoons on corrugated metal roof. Mother tongue stretched 400 miles thin to once a year visits at Christmas. My grandmother carried her family across an ocean and offered her seeds to the wind. And 43 years later, my grandmother's laugh is the only thing that the diaspora couldn't touch. So on winter nights when we gather by the couch, after the guests say goodbye and the lights dim low, and the house holds on to the warmth of being, I close my eyes to the music of my grandmother's laugh. Sharp morning like birds taking flight, daring to come home. Thank you.
Yes, give thanks. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate that. And a similar question like I asked Michelle, can you tell us where to read some of your poetry, or how we can support you, or you have a website or anything like that?
Yeah, I would say the easiest place is probably I've created this after my Laureate year, which was probably bad timing on my behalf, but I do have a website. It's eleanorwickstrom.com. And so there's a profile where you can see links to some of the videos. So like the UN poem is on there, the one that I was talking about with Dr. Ford is on there, and as well as a link to the student poetry anthology that I ran at Skyline. That's probably what I would consider my most valuable thing from this past year. And so I really encourage you to check that out. It's available on Amazon if you get the chance. But yes, thank you guys so much for having me. It was truly a pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you for that amazing poem. I appreciate that. And just good luck with your future endeavors. And thanks for representing Oakland so beautifully.
Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, I'm getting inspired. I'm about to go write. Let's do something. That's the beautiful thing about, these poets and their words and their stories. it inspires us to even dig deeper into ourselves as people, as humans, especially as us as Oaklanders and anywhere you may be in the world. This is just inspiring to hear them speak from such an authentic place and such a gift. Like these poets are really gifted. So again, it's just an honor to be here. I'm fanning out because I love words and I love poetry. For our last poet, last but not least, our current 2021 Oakland Poet Laureate, who goes by the name of Myra Estrada. Myra is a 16-year-old rising junior at Oakland High School, the Wildcats, where she is on the Latino honor roll and participates in many school clubs and college prep programs. 16, rising junior. That's crazy. She is a shy person and believes her poetry is a form of self-expression. She has been writing poetry since 6th grade when she won her first poetry contest and felt strong reading her poem. She felt as if what she was saying mattered and resonated with people. And we want to welcome our new current 2021 Youth Oakland Poet Laureate, Miss Myra Estrada. Hey, Myra, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing really, really good. It's my first time seeing you. I actually was a judge for this year's Oakland Youth Poet Laureate competition. It was just really, again, powerful and inspiring to, see all of the poets and see how you rose to that. How you been feeling ever since you've been named the 2021 Youth Poet Laureate of Oakland?
I've been feeling really loved by my community and just my family members. Just been receiving a lot of congratulations. So yeah, it's pretty overwhelming, but I love it.
Right. That's what's up. That's what's up. Now, in your opinion, why is it important to give voice to those who have been disenfranchised and oppressed? And how does poetry empower those in your community?
Well, I feel as if because we are oppressed, we're not really given that seat at the table. And I feel like the only way we can really speak for ourselves is by using our words. And I feel like in Oakland, in my community, our only escape is to use words and to rely on words to express what we're going through because we're not given that opportunity ever, to be honest. So yeah, I've always just relied on poetry. And yeah, I think the only why we should give the disenfranchised a chance to speak is because, everybody should be offered that respect and fairness and equality. And in America, we really don't receive that. So that's my belief, that everybody should have that.
Right. That's what's up. Now, with this new role as Oakland, youth poet, what are some of the ways you want to utilize this position? Are there certain issues that you want to speak up for? Are there certain communities that you want to represent? How do you feel like you can, bring power and your own touch to this role?
Yeah, I feel like how I've grown up in Oakland, I've kind of gotten a taste of all the sides of Oakland. I've gotten a taste from the fancy sides, the more uphill people, and like even in the hood, we have a few people like, I don't know. I feel like I've been everywhere in Oakland. I know so many people. Like it's just a very wide range of people I'm close to and I know. So yeah.
Dope. Now, being 16 years old, this is just a question as me as an educator. What are some of those things that inspire you to write, and how do you get into your process as a writer?
Well, I believe because of how I've grown up in Oakland, that's kind of just been like my inspiration for my writings. The way I've lived, I've never really gotten a chance to speak out, especially because I'm a pretty shy person. So to me, writing was just a way to talk about my problems and kind of not hold it inside, because I realized that holding it inside, it doesn't do me any good. It doesn't do me any justice. It just backfired on me. So I believe that my writing was the only way to kind of relieve the stress, because, nobody wants to be stressed. And I feel like most people, especially colored people in Oakland, were always stressed because there's so many burdens in Oakland to overcome.
Right. That's true. It's a lot of things, and writing as well as music definitely helped me get through a lot of things. This is another personal question. What type of music do you like?
I'm into everything. Really, I'm into everything. My current favorite artist has been Amy Winehouse. I'm just obsessed with her lyricism, and I've also been listening to Tyler Creator's new album, "Call Me If You Get Lost."
Me too. Actually, I really like that. Now that I look at my shirt, just like a Tyler Creator. He always got the flower shirts on. But no, that's dope. But I think it's really inspiring to hear what what music people are listening to, what inspires them, because we all have such a wide range, like Amy Winehouse to Tyler. That's really dope. Can you tell us a little bit about the poem that you want to read for us tonight?
Yeah, so when I first wrote this poem, I only had a line in my head, and like when you're a writer, like when you get that specific line, you have to write it down. So I had written it in my notes on that day. It was Juneteenth, and me and my sister, we had went to the Grand Lake Theater to go watch The Heights with the Glee Club at Oakland High. And I remember we were walking away because a shooting had happened at the celebration. And as we were walking away from it, I had seen two ladies going towards it. And, they were talking about the stock market. So it was just kind of, you can see how that plays into the poem, but it just kind of like, it struck me by surprise that like out of all things right now, you're talking about the stock market and somebody's family, like somebody just got shot. So yeah.
Wow, that's dope. Wow, I'm excited to hear that. Everybody, our current 2021 Oakland Youth Poet Laureate, Myra Estrada.
As the cries of my people linger through the city, and guns fired amidst the atmosphere, everyone's running the same path. There lie two white ladies bickering over the stock market. 'Cause to them the ruckus was trendy, but for us it was another day in Oakland. The commotion was growing and they sat tranquil amongst the rage. How it feels to live in Oakland like a town once stolen. Stolen of culture, stolen of love, stolen of power. They sit tranquil amongst the rage. I can see that in many different ways when they buy homes, and yet my family is holding on to our own day by day. A piece of metal is not a prize, it stacks up another sigh, another look at the sky wondering why. There's no way to make it out when it wasn't paved for us. We built this land stone in stone. Our town is stolen, there's no sense of home. We're all scared and puzzled, how did it get this way? Our town is now held captive by blue-tie businessmen. Relieved of our pride and power, hanging by a thread, we're all slowly falling out. You think you're doing us a favor by signing a few petitions, but the rent man said he knocking ready for another eviction. Is it really considered help if you snatch the roof off? There's no more cries left to hear. We bleed the slain blood, circling the same size. It's all too much to bear, but still, we tread on, bottling up our fears. Normalizing the not-so-normal neighborhoods, crowded with homeless people. It's regular to know my childhood guardian was someone without a home. The rainy days cloud the bright sky. There's no sunshine on the other side. Oakland is no longer home of the greats, but home of the hidden souls. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much. Whew, we all got to take a deep breath. These poems you got to really process. It's a lot, and that's so current and fresh. I mean, I live right up the street from where that shooting took place. So thank you for expressing, shedding light on that and speaking into it in such a genuine and dope way, for sure. Wow, this has been powerful. I don't know if we can bring all of our poets up at one time. Is that possible? So we can see all these amazing, creative, inspiring individuals at one time. I want to say thanks again to Michelle Arango, Eleanor Wickstrom, Myra Estrada, just for your words, for your dedication to your community, standing up for your people, for what you feel is important, for using your art as a voice of activism and creating change in our neighborhood. And we're very proud of you and inspired by you. And just want to thank you for sure. Me personally, and I'm sure everyone from the Oakland Public Library, the East Bay Asian Local Development Corporation, for bringing us all together to celebrate our community's talented voices. Wherever you are, just, let a breath of fresh air, clap your hands wherever you are tonight. Just let them know. And make sure you also just continue to support in their writings, performances. And also, speaking of performances, we have our East Bay Asian Local Development Corporation 45th Gala celebration. And I think that date well, maybe we could throw that slide up real quick so we can see that date. I think it's, yes, September 9th, Thursday, September 9th, Preservation Park. Our current Oakland Youth Poet Laureate Myra Estrada will be performing at this, and she will be sharing some more poems. I performed at it last year, and it was a great time. It's a great group of people. It's going to be in person outside Preservation Park. Make sure you get your tickets available now and come support an incredible organization. And again, thank you to Oakland Public Library, East Bay Asian Local Development Corporation, in our efforts to creating healthy neighborhoods. And let's make sure we all support each other and love each other, spread love throughout Oakland. And that's how we keep healthy and keep strong. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Peace out to y'all. Thank y'all. My name is Kev Choice. Much love.